Welcome everybody to the glamour corner of my kitchen, in the corner with the trash cans, but most importantly, the corner with the compost. So we've had an outside, what's called a cold compost bin system for a really long time, and that is code for we gather up all of our kitchen food scraps and we throw them in a big heap and never ever do anything with it. And so I have been watching a lot of gardening videos and things as I have been absolutely stir crazy to get outside this year for the garden. And I came across something called Bokashi Composting, and I really wanted to try it. This is my very first month of doing it, and so I just wanted to do a little video from a complete beginner's perspective to kind of show you what it's all about. So the very basics of the system is you put your food scraps, so we just gather them in a little container on our kitchen counter until the container's full. It takes us about a day, maybe a little bit less to fill up one of these. And then when you're ready, you put what you gathered from your kitchen, so it's like banana peels and kitchen scraps and all kinds of stuff like that. You put it in this 2-bucket system. So the top bucket has holes drilled in the bottom to let the compost juice, which sounds gross, go through, and then the bottom bucket does not have holes so that the compost juice doesn't go onto your kitchen floor. The amazing thing, I started this bucket, I write just with a Sharpie on the lid. I started this bucket on February 25th and it's now March 9th. So it's been about 2 weeks, and this does not smell bad. This is just in our kitchen, right next to our trash can. I can almost touch our stove is right there, and it doesn't smell bad. Even with my head right here in the bucket, it doesn't smell bad. There's bacteria that live in here, and you actually sprinkle a little bit of grain that's been inoculated with that bacteria on the top every time you dump one of these in, and that's what makes it not smell. So to do the actual dumping in process, the bacteria that live in here don't like oxygen, so it recommended to just take a piece of newspaper or something and swoosh everything down on top. So that's what that is, and then this is what's underneath. It's just all the food scraps and anything that composts, basically any organic material. And so I dump in the food scraps. There's a lot of coffee grounds in there, banana peels, orange peels, eggshells, tea bags, if they are truly made of the paper and not like a plasticized thing. I dump that in. You can also dump in this system way more stuff than you would put in normal compost because the bacteria break things down. So you can actually scrape anything off of your dinner plate that wasn't eaten. I also put in, anytime we get a compostable thing, so this is from a sub shop, and they are just recycled paper, like that thick paper. You want to break stuff up a little bit and just tear it into slightly smaller pieces. You don't have to go nuts with it. But you can put all of that stuff in. You can put in cooked vegetables. You can put in things that have been fried in oil. You can put in meat. You can put in cheese. Just in this kind. A standard compost bin, you wouldn't be able to do that. So truly, there's chicken nuggets in here from my kiddos' lunch foods. All of that stuff. If you accidentally have the plastic bag that the pickle came in, don't put that in there. Plastic and metal are about the only things that you don't want to put in the compost bin. So this makes me feel way less guilty about doing takeout. Put all of that stuff in there, and then even the paper bag. You can rip it up if you want to. If you don't want to rip it up, it'll just take slightly longer to break down. And put all of that in there. And I also happen to have, we got something shipped in packing peanuts, and they're the cornstarch ones. So if you lick them and they stick together. So these are organic material. This all goes into, these are the wrappers that our toilet paper comes in. They're just paper. Those work too. So you could put lots of stuff in here. And so far, this is only our second bucket of this. But so far, it's taken us almost exactly 2 weeks to fill up this 5-gallon bucket. As stuff starts to break down, you can smush it more. So this thing's pretty heavy. Once you've done all that, the only sort of magic of this system is this stuff. And I don't work with any of these companies or anything. I just thought it sounded cool and I wanted to do it. So this is a bran mixture. I think it's the leftovers from brewing, like beer brewing, is what they use, and it's inoculated with a bacteria that helps break stuff down. And so you just take a little handful. I'm talking a tablespoon or something, and sprinkle it on the top. And try not to dump the whole bag onto the floor, like I just did. I didn't get the whole bag, but I'm working on it. Okay, and so this bag's full. I ordered, there's several different places that do it. There are options for gluten-free. Most of them are a grain base, but they do have options for gluten-free that are on rice or things like that. I know I've had people ask me about that. And now you're just gonna take your piece of newspaper that has slowly also been degrading over the last 2 weeks, swoosh everything back down. Again, try to get out as much of the oxygen as you can, and then put your lid back on. And that's it. That's all there is to adding to your bucket. So now my bucket is almost full to the tippy top. I just realized that wasn't on screen, so I apologize. It's almost full to the tippy top here, right up at the top. And I'm probably gonna take my marker and write on here when I finished adding to it as today, because I don't think I'm really gonna be able to get much else in here. I just realized I picked up just the top that has the holes on the bottom. There's really not any juice down there. It's maybe very slightly damp, but it doesn't look like anything except a damp bucket. And even that doesn't have a smell. The strongest smell is, these are pickle buckets, actually from the same sub shop that the subs came from. So the strongest smell is of dill pickles, because that's what this container was used for before. So this, and I just have my two stacked on top of each other in the corner. And so this one, I have my little writing on the top. I started it on the 8th of February. I finished adding to it on the 23rd of February. And then this tells me that I can put it in the garden on March 9th, which is what today is. So this, I have not opened it since I stopped adding to it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is check and see how much juice is in the bottom. Maybe an inch of juice down there. It looks gross, there's stuff floating in it. And there was a little bit of a whiff of smell when I put the bucket back in, and it smooshed the air up, but not, I haven't smelled it until right this minute is the first time that I've smelled anything. So I'm going to pop the lid of this open. So it's the same thing, just a piece of whatever thin cardboard that I happen to have around. Can you tell I have a yarn shop? These are all yarn scraps. Only do this with cottons or wools or an animal or a plant fiber. You can do it with fabric too. I actually do this with our napkins. Our cotton napkins, when they get too holy and stained and gross to be even rags anymore, they go in here too. So this is, I started this in early February and it's now early March, so this has been sitting here for about a month, and it's not supposed to look like a compost. I wasn't expecting to open this and it'd be black dirt that I could use. But what you're supposed to do is dig a hole in the garden, and I think it can be a pretty shallow hole, like a little trench, dump this in and spread it out, then put the dirt back on top of it, and then in another 2 weeks, then it will be basically totally broken down. I've seen lots of videos where people poke around a couple of weeks later to see what's still there, and it's really not very much at all. even things like eggshells and like pineapple core, stuff that takes forever to break down in normal compost, is mostly gone. And by a month later, it's all gone. So with that being said, why don't we head out to the garden and I will show you me digging a hole and putting the stuff from this bucket into it. Okay, welcome to the newest vegetable patch in my garden. This is where I'm going to put the Bokashi compost, but I wanted to take 1 minute to talk to you about how I made this bed as well. This is where our potatoes are going to go, and I'm actually hoping to get them in the ground in another like 2 weeks or so, basically as soon as this has worked its way in and done its thing. I don't do digging for the most part, partially because we have a gigantic garden and I don't have enough hours in the day to dig it all up, but partially because I'm kind of convinced by a lot of the no dig like philosophies of gardening. So this is grass. We have a country lawn, which to me means it's all green weeds, and when you mow it, it sort of looks like grass, but it's not actually grass. But I just laid a layer of dirt. We were digging out paths in other places, and so I had some like a wheelbarrow full of dirt that I put on, and then the top layer here that doesn't look so appealing is actually the top of the cold compost bin. Our compost pile is back there, and so this is all like food waste that has been outside most of the winter up until about a month ago when we switched to the new Bokashi system. And I would just wanted to put that on to give a little bit more depth to the bed that I'm going to put the potatoes in. And then my thought process is the Bokashi on top is going to help that stuff break down a little bit faster. This is not the necessarily the recommended way to use Bokashi compost, but I don't follow rules for anything. So I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. It's all organic material, so it's all going to break down. So my understanding with what you're supposed to do, and again, this is my first time doing it, is you like dig a trench. I'm probably just going to dig a shallow trench in straight down the middle of the bed. I'm going to dump the Bokashi into it, and then I have a wheelbarrow full of dirt that I'm going to dump on top. And then it will be finished. I'll be ready to put mulch over that and start putting potatoes in a couple more weeks. So watch along while I do all the hard work. Moment of truth time. I'm going to open, it's heavy. I'm going to open the bin that I just showed you guys inside, and this cardboard will break down too. This is what I'm going to dump. Okay, that was way easier than I thought it would be. And now I'm going to put the gross juice. It still doesn't really have a smell, but it's not very pretty to look at. And now the final step is I'm going to put soil on top. So I dug, this is actually the soil from underneath the compost. So I scraped the top layer off that had most of the unbroken down stuff, and then this is the dirt that was underneath that. So this is really going to be rich composty dirt. Okay, the very last step is mulch. I mulch everything because it means way less weeding and watering, which I'm not a fan of. And this year somebody was giving away on the Facebook Marketplace a bunch of spoiled hay from their horse stables, and so I got like 10 bales, 15 bales, something like that, and that's what I've mulched everything in the garden with. There are theoretically weed seeds in here, but the gardeners that I follow online that use it do so with great success, and you basically just sort of scrape the top surface as you're ready to plant into it, and it disturbs all the weed seeds. So we'll give it a try. If it's horribly weedy, I will cover it with cardboard and wait for all the weeds to die. So last step is cover it up. And I am gonna get more, I don't know if you guys can see, I ran out of dirt. There wasn't enough of my barrow to get all the way to the end. So I'll get another little barrow full to do the last little bit. I'll probably have to track down another one of the straw bales to finish. This is probably not enough straw for it either. We did speed up through some of that, but this was not a lengthy process. I'm glad it didn't take very long. Now the hard part is waiting 2 weeks before I plant stuff in here. It's especially hard because it's like 65 degrees and sunny right now in the first week in March. But next week it's supposed to get cold again. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I am brand new to this, but so far I'm pretty happy. I'll see you next time.